Come in, order a Loman Ale, and remember, no droids allowed. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Cantina here on the GenreVerse YouTube channel, GenreVerse Podcast Network, available on all of your favorite podcast apps. If you aren't subscribed here on the YouTube channel watching us, please do subscribe now and enjoy great content covering everything you can imagine in geek, pop culture, entertainment news. If it's not a reaction video, podcast apps have all of our shows: Daily Cog, Breaking Geek, Dragon Review, The Cantina, and of course, check out the website lrmonline.com every day for written reviews, such as Cam, one of our co-hosts here. Cam's written reviews for Ahsoka, Wheel of Time, and more news, celebrity interviews, and of course, merch. There's a link in the description box down below for our merch. Support the channel, get some cool swag. Maybe wear a cute anime girl or Star Wars shirt. So Cantina shirt or mug. Why not? Kyle, I already mentioned Cam. And then, of course, we've got Shockey. And we're here to discuss Ahsoka Episode 7. And, you know, thinking about grades, what's you know, where does this one fall in line? My feelings while watching it, I was like, man, a lot of this would be really good with other episodes. Like, we should have recut this series, and some of the stuff we didn't necessarily need to linger on as much, or space acrobatics maybe could have been cut down, and maybe you could start shaving almost an entire episode out and putting some of this stuff on either in an episode before and an episode after. Some of it's very action heavy, but good action, but not much substance. And if you're kind of like me, where you don't necessarily care about these characters very much any more at all, whatever, then you're left with kind of like, man, I really wish I cared, because a lot of it looked really good. There were some shitty CGI moments, but a lot of it looked really good. I give it a B. How are you feeling, Shockey?
I'm with you on it. I give it a B. I think for almost similar reasons. I think that there's some parts of this episode that could definitely have gone, you know, either a little bit shorter or be recut into another episode and just made that episode maybe 5 minutes longer. That's pretty much it. The main storyline with Ahsoka and Ezra and Sabine getting back together was okay. There wasn't anything massive to it. I think the saving grace for me was like the strategy that Thrawn's taking. It seems like he's not necessarily like playing chess while everybody's playing checkers, but he's like he said, he's trying to stay one step ahead of everything by, you know, and we'll get to it later, you know, his decision making and strategies. But to me, it kind of, you know, that's what, like, I'm more invested in that. I want to see the end game for Thrawn, and so I think we got a little tease of what's going to come up in the next, you know, episode. But yeah, everything else, the Hera Syndulla part, didn't really need all that.
Yeah.
And, you know, there was a little bit lengthier of time with Ezra and Sabine.
3PO.
Yeah, you got to throw 3PO in there because it's Star Wars, and he's been in every single event, you know, in the Skywalker.
Needed an excuse.
Yeah, what did you think of his de-aging?
Oh, God. That's a good one.
I thought it was more.
I like that. I like that. Yeah. Cam, how about you, man? What'd you think? You were a little lukewarm on this.
I mean, I don't know. I gave it a B, but I'd almost maybe, honestly, probably I went down since I wrote my written review to a B minus. I just felt a lack of drama, you know.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I'm talking about, actual, you know, character drama in this episode. It just felt not there, and that felt cartoony to me, not necessarily the kind of cartoony we've maybe talked about before and the way it's shot and everything like that, but cartoony in terms of that, you know, they don't have time to explore characters, so we just get cool looking animation instead, you know, and it's all said by, and that's great for animation, but I can almost think we needed to take a step back, or this episode needed to be longer and intermixed with something else to give us some drama. Like, just off the top of my head here, I would have had, like, what about a flashback backstory, Ezra thinking about something that's happened in his past, and let's explore that a little bit. I just felt like it was just like, oh, we're back together, and it was just happy go along all the time. And I never once felt like anyone was ever in any peril. So it's not like, action where what is going to happen here. I was just like, well, I know what's going to happen here. I can see what's going to happen here. She's going to get down there. They're going to meet up. They're going to win. Or, they're going to get captured so that it sets up the finale. It's just one of those two kind of choices, and it all just kind of went like that.
But Cam, they had such great space battle with those fighters that shoot BB pellets at spaceships, which I had a bit of an issue with that. We can get to that later, but I agree. I titled this something like good action, but lacks weight. Like it just. That's why I feel like some of this stuff should have been put.
Even then,
elsewhere.
I don't think I was so much on the good action as you guys. It's a couple of things that just, I wasn't too keen in. I don't think they did.
You didn't like the lightsaber battle?
As well.
You didn't like,
I didn't like Ahsoka and Balin's lightsaber battle.
We'll get to the dislikes in a bit, but we like to try to start off with at least some of the good, and I'm actually gonna try to surprise some people. As someone whose interactions with Ezra have been very limited and very early on, as in like early Rebels episodes were, one of the main reasons I didn't continue on. I actually found, and I see some people saying it might be out of character, but I found the warrior monk aspect kind of good. I liked him being like, you know what? I don't need the lightsaber right now. I've trained. I can use the Force. I've always been a fan of things from the EU, and they really expanded on what Jedi could do, specialties, things like that. And so seeing,
I didn't like that. But...
You didn't like that. Seeing a Jedi sit there and be like, I can do this without the lightsaber. You might need it more than I do. I dug that aspect. But like I said, my only experiences with the character are negative. Relatively negative. I don't care.
I guess I've got to kind of come in with a counterpoint to that, because it would be weird to come in with a bad point later on when we're discussing that scene. But to me, I just did the opposite view in that. To me, that was just like, why are you not giving him the lightsaber? It's literally his lightsaber. I know he's not had it for a few years, but that's because he has no ability to build himself a new one on that planet. I just don't understand the kind of decision. Because you put the lightsaber in his hand, and suddenly that fight becomes a lot less one-sided. Because we've seen that maybe Sabine has some very small, ability with the Force, but clearly you can see that it's not the same as Ezra. So surely he should have the lightsaber, and she should have done a Mando blasters thing. That would have been a cooler fight to me, but.
I've got a potential theory to bring that up in the theories segment, but I actually like the Balin lightsaber duel. It's nothing epic. I think it's I like the color palette. I really did. I liked a lot of the shots. Again, it's not a long one, so it's not epic or anything. But I thought it was well done, and it once again. Their actual dueling type for the most part, except for when they're just holding a block, and you can tell that they're not really pushing. Like there's one scene, at least a take, where Dawson, she's not engaged at all. She's literally just holding. Like there's no weight to it. But other times during the duel, it feels weighty. I've enjoyed the lightsaber action throughout the majority of this show, except for space acrobatics. But yeah. Did you have anything good, Cam? Really? At all?
I mean, I did have some good. My only issue with that fight, it's not a bad one, really, because I agree with you about the colour palette. I just don't think. I think for me, I felt like Dawson looked restricted in her costume fighting that fight. Don't know whether it was having the cloak and the headgear, but it was almost like I felt like her head was heavy when she was trying to do some of the moves, and they just felt a little bit slowing off, which I didn't get from the other lightsaber duels that we've seen, which I've been absolutely fine with. So that was my only issue with that. Yeah, I had some good. I've thought a lot of the kind of the little snippy dialogue was really good. The little one-liners and stuff between like Huyang and Ahsoka, and all that sort of stuff. The kind of zippy, if you like, dialogue that goes along in an action episode was actually kind of pretty well written and came across quite well. I guess that was my kind of plus, if you like, and I enjoyed it. It was a decent enough setup. I just didn't, connect with the action in some ways in this one, the same as I have in the other episodes.
What you got, Shockey?
Yeah, the lightsaber battles are good. The overall, like, I'm with you. The space fighting was okay. But yeah, the highlight from this episode for me was Baylan and Ahsoka. Their battle, but also just like it seems like that Baylan's holding back. It didn't seem like he was trying in both battles, right? It doesn't seem like he's actually trying to really kill Ahsoka, destroy her. So
he says he has his own motives,
right? He does have his own motives.
Destiny somewhere else. So yeah,
and then just for him to let Shin go and it's like, hey, this is your future, this is your destiny, you go do it. It's like the games that each character's playing. So from Thrawn to Baylan, to Ezra almost, because like I have my theories and we'll get into that with Ezra. It seems like everyone's has their little motives, their own personal motives on there. And so it's going to be like, this was a traditional, go back to the Clone Wars, even Rebels, Dave Filoni filler episode. You get a couple good things about it, and then that's it. It's just really it's set up to the final arc here.
They need to stop with filler stuff on these streaming.
You don't have the
series,
time
though.
for it, and they're not long enough episodes
Yeah.
or anything like that. For that, I need some drama.
I agree with you. Like when it
future.
was old Clone Wars, and you would have 27 episodes in a season, you could get away with it, and stuff.
Yeah, they would tell arcs over like 3 different episodes sometimes, and then even maybe go back to it further down the line. So there'd be different arcs of different stories all going at different times. Unusual,
exactly.
But
So it felt like this episode here was like, we need to get Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra together, but we don't want to just do it in a quick 5-minute things. We need to get Baylan and Shin to split up. So we need to do that. And then we need to get Thrawn to get all his cargo on the Imperial Star Destroyer ready to leave and stuff. So it was like, okay, instead of putting all that in a 5-10 minute snap, we're going to stretch this out to a 30-minute episode. And we're going to use a good solid 10 minutes of Hera Syndulla arguing with the New Republic about a mission that she went and did, and still arguing about it over and over and over again. And does she lose her position as general? Which is, and then all of a sudden, miraculously, Leia saves her.
Yeah.
From the dead.
Yeah. she ain't dead yet, but yeah.
One thing I've been kind of a little bit disappointed with Ahsoka is that, like, I love how good Genevieve O'Reilly is as Mon Mothma and Andor, because we're lit in Andor. They're letting her act. They're giving her proper, stuff to play with and letting her act. Whereas here, she just turns up and she's got to appear as if she doesn't really know what she's doing. She's kind of not in control, but she is in control.
I think it's actually
doing
wasteless.
the same thing.
I think she's useless for this series. If you take Mon Mothma out of it, exactly. Let her shine in Andor. Right? Yeah, exactly. Let her shine in Andor, and in that series.
If you're going to do something with it,
do something with her.
See like her struggles at the Senate, behind the scenes. That's what
her character's always been
how she was under pressure for this side and that side. That's drama.
She's a political figure, and that's always been her character. And so Andor fits perfect with that, because that's the whole political series there.
So good,
right? This has nothing to do with politics. That's why I think that by putting her in there, it's like it feels weird. It's like it's
so maybe just don't bother with it.
I wouldn't have. Give me some more zombie stormtroopers and stuff.
Hera talks about what happened afterwards or something and says, "Oh, this is what they did." You don't need to waste time with that scene when you could be giving us something else for what's happening in the main story. I agree.
Sticking with gripes now, since we kind of started those, which is great. I had one, and that was the scene where, after some time has passed since he was told Ahsoka Tano was coming, he gets intel from the from Morgan Elsbeth and peruses it. And they're trying so hard to show Thrawn as this tactical genius that we know him from the books and allegedly the cartoon. I don't know how great he is in the cartoon. Not saying he's not. But they're trying very, very hard, and yet here's a guy who's been told a threat is coming and allows time to pass before he is given intel. That's not how Thrawn
works, right?
Would work, right? And not only that, but he should have already had the intel, whether he asked his team to get it himself, Night Sister, whatever. It's the Golden Ring ship is going to transport him, so he has authority. Whatever you want to say, I buy it wholeheartedly. He could have pulled data from them if he wasn't offered, right?
Right.
And it would have been so much.
But just switching the scenes a little bit, couldn't it?
Exactly, yep. Dude. You could have sat there and had her Elsbeth try to explain something about Ahsoka to him, and he goes, "Look, I've already read up on our our would-be rescuer. I'm well aware. I knew her master. Did you know that? Something along those lines.
I mean,
would have made it so much more Thrawn
when he saw General Skywalker.
Yeah, and that would have been.
He kind of
could have showed him getting the data in a scene, and and that would have given a little bit more character development, because this is what bugged me. This was a general. I know he's an admiral, but I'm going to speak in army terms because I don't know how you break up fleets and stuff for the Navy. So this was a general conducting a company operation. And for those that might not know, I'm going to name a few tiers here. You've got a squad, platoon, company, battalion, brigade, and then you get up into different things, including things like divisions, tens of thousands of troops.
Right.
Those get generals, okay? And this is Grand Admiral Thrawn. Think of him as, general of the army, right? And he's conducting literally orders coming out of his mouth to a couple of platoons conducting a company operation. And I know this is really nitpicky as the vet here, but it was just, it seems so, we don't know how to show him to be a brilliant tactician here. So let's do something that he literally would have said, "Hey, Colonel," or Captain even, you plan and execute this operation. These are my intent. This is the intent of my operation. Give me a plan and go execute. It didn't work for me.
They could have used that guy with a mask to do a lot of that stuff.
Yes.
His name is,
because that's the other.
Well, and that's what, didn't he use, was it Rook? It was like his main assassin. But if he wanted, in the EU, if Thrawn wanted somebody dead or taken out, he would get Rook.
And Paleon is there, of course, to be his, Paleon commands the ship, and Thrawn commands
he's in another
the fleet that he has.
Canonically at the moment.
But my point being is delegation. Yes. That's the sign of a great leader and tactician as well, as delegation. And then they have this weird, he's got a drone so he can monitor it. It felt so poorly thought out and written way to show this brilliant tactician. And that's because of the situation you've got him in. You were doing all right with the planning and how he could, the stuff in space made sense. Here, let me track the ship down and flush her out. But that was just so bad to me. And I don't know if I'm the only one.
No, it's been that way with Star Wars in general, because most of the writers and directors in Star Wars have no military background experience or don't even bother to say, hey, let's
and they want to give the main characters more time on screen.
Let me give a shout out to good old Michael J. Stackpole out there who reached out and did research.
Oh yeah. And it could be a matter
Star Wars.
Right. No, it could have been just a matter of time or something that Filoni didn't have to do, research. But I agree with you. The way that Thrawn was handled in Rebels, I think because it's animation, it has a little bit more time to change things up, whatever. It seemed like in Rebels he was more of the Grand Admiral Thrawn we know from Zahn's books. But this one, I agree with you. This one's a little bit, and I don't know, maybe if this is the way that Filoni's trying to write, Grand Admiral Thrawn, as maybe he's disconnected. He's been gone for so long that he's maybe losing a step, type deal.
Maybe.
Or, but I agree with you.
Because he's got less numbers than he used to have. Having to take him more down the hand. But this is where you would add in drama. See if you're doing this is where you build that in, and you'll have a character question, don't you? Have people to do this, and you have them be slightly uncomfortable about what's happened, and maybe having these lower,
God dang
that's
it.
how you write
Kennedy,
this.
hire us, my God.
I mean, that you take
I'll work for whatever minimum is.
The Hera stuff, right, and shorten down a little bit of the action, and you add in these little drama points, and suddenly this becomes an A episode.
I agree with
you. That's the difference.
A quick 2-minute dialogue in that episode of how thin the troops are, and that's it. That's all. Like, all you gotta do is a wide pan shot of the cargo hold in the Star Destroyer with Thrawn and Morgan Elsbeth, and say, listen, this is all we have left of our stormtroopers, and we, there's. I mean,
it's one Star Destroyer.
One Star Destroyer.
I mean, he does tell her, we got limited resources, but there's nothing else of the context of.
But it's not a dire situation. It's just saying like, we're thin, But we're not sure if they're like, because the theory is are they zombie stormtroopers because they look like pretty much they're put together and stuff and everything. But so
did we see any die? If they died and they were zombie stormtroopers, surely you would have the smoke thing like you got with Mara,
right?
And I didn't see
we saw people getting stabbed by Sabine. I don't remember if it was one of the red troopers or stormtroopers.
How cool would that have been?
Most of them died, but there was definitely some stormtroopers get killed.
Yeah.
How cool would it have been if like Sabine stabs him, falls in the ground, and then gets right back up and just starts fighting oh shit, you gotta cut the head off, type deal.
I mean, something like that would have been a bit inventive and added a little twist to the story, and it would have had us all talking about it, what its implications were.
Like Thrawn made a deal with the devils, the Night Sisters.
What are the Night Sisters after? These are the mysteries that last week presented. Just didn't go anywhere. What's Balin after? Well, whatever it is, he's very slightly closer towards it now.
This is why,
right? And we don't explore the relationship between Thrawn and the Night Sisters. All these little mysteries of that they set up last week just don't go anywhere, and we get an action episode. And I think there's just something that disappointed me in that because it had potential.
Yep, I think this is why I've stopped going on social media so much and looking at theories, because the Ezra Bridger theory that's been going around could be as well, is that that Ezra has the Sith holocron still and is more of a Sith than an actual Jedi, and that's why he's been a hermit by himself, and he's acting all different and everything.
That's very Sith-like, Sith-like to be in a hermit with these peaceful people that have no.
I was gonna say not super hermit-like with all the hermit crabs he was with, but I thought, what if he is what if Thrawn and him are still working together? I don't know what he might want to put Ezra in with, but you think, here comes Sabine Wren, how long does it take him to say, hey, you've been hanging out with those people anyways, maybe they trade with them or get something from those hermit crab people. You've been hanging out with them, go hang out and pretend you've been with them for a while. And then when time comes to make the deal, hey, Sabine, he's been out there somewhere, good luck, which would explain why he didn't obliterate Ezra, which was a complaint of mine a couple of episodes ago.
See,
I don't know.
I agree with you on that. I think
this is all sounding too good, to be honest. I don't think you're going to get any of this. I think that would be too much. I don't think you're getting anything as deep as that. Where there's a big twist.
God, could you imagine if you did?
And I can imagine people theorying, that's why he never took the lightsaber. He didn't want to kill any of the troops. But you actually see him using a blaster
Yeah,
you know,
no, and I don't
people,
think he has any quarrels killing the troops at all.
No, he's a very good actor. If you know, this has been some kind of.
I'm with you, Kyle.
You know,
I think that it's that theory of that
it's a good what if.
Yeah, like I'm with you. Like I think it would be really good is if like, because the line that Thrawn threw out there was that we basically got all whatever we needed on the Star Destroyer, the cargo and the Star Destroyer, while Ahsoka and Sabine and stuff were away, far away. It's like it was almost part of his plan. So what if, like you said, either A, he's working with Ezra, or B, the Night Sister, which is have control of Ezra.
Night Sisters,
and they're basically possessing him and just have him and stay away to just because they've seen pretty much everything of the future wise except for like a little thread. They knew that somebody was going to follow, or they basically said there's no way that Morgan Elsbeth comes with her ship and not be followed by someone else and stuff. So let's have Ezra off away, let them go search and find him while we take care of what we need to over here, get away. And they're and then all of a sudden Ezra like wakes up and like, I've been possessed this entire time. Or biggest plot twist of all time is Ezra joins with Grand Admiral Thrawn, and that's why he didn't want to take his lightsaber, because he's a bad guy now and stuff.
I mean, that would be really cool. And again, we should be writing this series, I think, but I just don't have any confidence that they would go as dark or as mature as that, or take as many risks.
Oh, I don't think they will, but I wish. I mean, I do think there's a small chance that there's some sort of plant or tracking, something like Thrawn's goal was to get Ezra to them for something, whether he's complicit or not.
Right.
But I think that's
think the thing that they're hiding, there, if you like, is the whatever Balin's after is far, far more dangerous than Grand Admiral Thrawn just returning. Yeah. And whatever it is either going to prevent them from going and having to work together, or that they all go back at the same time and run the hell away. I don't know what the kind of answer to that is, but that seems to me like the actual important part, rather than this just race against time. Because what are they going to do? Go and kill everybody in his Star Destroyer and then say, right, we've took over the ring now, let's go home. I mean, I'm just not seeing how that's the ending to this series. It's just not going to happen.
They've only got one episode left, so we'll find out some of this stuff next week for sure.
Season 2.
Yeah, well, I mean, we all kind of figured it would be a thing.
Hey, you want to know my biggest gripe? You want to know my biggest gripe? How for so long in Star Wars, stormtroopers have had like the worst aim ever, but it seems like Sabine, those stormtroopers are marksmen, and hitting her best our armor, like
they couldn't hit her head,
right? But like that's the thing, is that every other Mandalorian that's been shot with a blaster has died, right? But all of a sudden now, I understand Mando's got Beskar armor now, so he can take the shots, but Sabine doesn't. Sabine has regular.
Does she not?
No, well, it's never been said.
Well,
it's still
never been.
I'm guessing that they'll say
she didn't have it in Rebels. So,
well, yeah, exactly.
Where did she get it from?
Yeah, and so now.
She was donated,
and she's not wearing like really big armor too. I mean, it's like here, and so those stormtroopers are hitting like bullseyes every single time, ting ting ting, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, like she's getting hit 20 times in an episode.
I think I'd rather just stick with it. Look, we get it. We have all suspended disbelief for so many years.
Right? Yeah. Let's go with it.
Can't hit everything, but
All right, guys. Well. We'll be able to talk more about it next week. We really do appreciate you checking out the GenreVerse Podcast Network. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. All of our content that's not like reaction videos goes up on your favorite podcast apps. LRMonline.com for all written news, reviews, celebrity interviews from the LRM YouTube channel, and more. And of course, the merch available. Redbubble link down in the description box below. Cam, anything?
Nah.
All right, Shockey?
I mean, just let us know in the comment section what you liked about Ahsoka, what you didn't like. Shoot us a message on social media if there's something else you want us to cover.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week. May the Force be with you.